I will say that whole imposter syndrome can creep up a lot of times, especially when you're in the tech space. And I've gotten kind of used to being maybe the only woman or the only person of color in the room in a lot of different stages in my life. And so I just try to make sure that I feel comfortable in my own skin and who I am. And, I just come as I am and be who I am. And I think sometimes we try to shrink ourselves.
Right.
And so I would just say, don't shrink.
Yeah, that kid was not mine.
Welcome everybody back to another very strange start of an Undisrupted podcast. Adam, besides determining the conversation that we were just having that the listeners just got to peek in on, what social media platform? There's all these social media platforms out there now, and Twitter last week, famously, in the last couple of weeks, has turned from Twitter to X, and then it changed on our phones, and now we don't know how to say, is it X seat or what are we saying instead of tweeting? So with all of this and your boy Elon changing things up, what do you think? What's going to rule all, and how's it going to shake out?
It's one of those things that's so challenging right now because there's so many startups, which is really great that we are having competition. I think that's often drives the innovation in these platforms, having competition, because for so long, Twitter was the beast. It was the only one. Right. Twitter really didn't do that much. Yeah, it didn't innovate. The most innovation they did was added more characters. That was pretty much it. You could have more characters, but now you have Threads, Blue Sky, Mastodon. Specific, you're a part of one, K-12 Leaders. That's a specific platform directed to that. I even heard that LinkedIn is going to be starting up their own thing as well. So there's so many out there. It's going to be kind of hard to tell. I don't know. I honestly don't know, because here's the problem that we're having. Because I have a decent following, not like you, sir, on Twitter, but how do you get the people?
Thank you very much. Yeah.
How do you get those people to follow you to another place? It's like, remember the thing, who's coming with me?
Coming with me? Yeah.
So I don't have the answer to that one. I don't know. I kind of would like Threads, just because there's already people on Facebook, I guess, and that's the one that a lot of people already own. But they said they've had a drop off in subscribers. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm looking at mine right now. There's just a few in my folder. I actually asked on every platform I have, the 12 that I'm currently active on. I asked people how, and it is 12. I counted it. That's how many I'm checking every day, which is way too many. But I asked people, how many platforms is enough? How many do you have? The average response, I would say, of most people was 2 to 3. Most people pick 2 or 3, and these are, maybe I have this one, Facebook or whatever, for my friends and family, and then I have this one that's just kind of professional, or maybe they have Instagram that's kind of a mix of both. And so it is. I don't know what's going to rule them all. I do think it's fun that when you have a company that is out there and is out front, and you have no competition, it really makes sense to change it and totally explode it, because thank you, Elon, because now we have all these other things. He already doesn't like our podcast anyway, so we can go ahead and say that.
Yeah. We had our one episode they pulled from Twitter for whatever reason. I think it's Elon coming after me. But
Yeah. Famously, it was gone. It's disappeared on the Twitters. But enough about us and our thoughts on it, because we do have a guest. Patricia Brown is the Director of Technology Services at Ladue School District there in St. Louis, Missouri. Welcome to the podcast, Patricia. And what are your thoughts? What's your feelings on all these platforms?
Hey, everybody. I'm excited to be here. This is a long time coming, so I'm excited. As far as your conversation, so let me just say, I'm a TikTok girl. I love TikTok. I don't post, but I like to watch and learn and lurk. I learn so much on TikTok. I mean, that's the place. When I think about my top 3, I used to have a lot of different social media accounts that I regularly check, but I think TikTok has it's the top, with Facebook and Instagram. And of course, what was formerly known as Twitter has been the go-to. We're gonna call it just the artist now, formerly
It's a
known as
symbol.
Twitter.
It's
Yeah,
X,
but TikTok has really been kind of my go-to. Like you learn about the good, the bad, the ugly of the world, and it's like let's just learn. So
And
that's what
is it all professional things that you're learning on TikTok, I assume?
Of course not. Of course not. Like I said, the good, the bad, the
Bad,
ugly,
the ugly.
anything you want to know about, it's there. It's on TikTok. So, but I do love how I see a lot of teachers are creating really cool TikToks, like tips and tricks. It's like, it's cool to be able to do something within that little frame of like 1 minute, 2 minutes, or 30 seconds. And so you have to like be really concise. There's this one young lady that does, she's actually from St. Louis area, was one of my former students. She does like these videos she's an art teacher, and she creates these songs, and she actually shows kids how to animate or draw an image using like vocabulary and things in in the art world, but really cool, like to music or rap or whatever. So yeah, so it's a lot of great things out there. I would say.
I hired my 14-year-old social media manager to help me with my TikTok account, my oldest daughter. And so now, in the last 2 weeks, we've put out a Hooked on AI series, which is a little video short snippets about AI. And she's helping me kind of use because it has really good closed captioning. The editing's pretty clean. I mean, you can do a lot of really fast stuff and just get it up there. And I was surprised at how quickly we could generate that content. And also,
Absolutely.
I should shout out right now. I just realized when Adam and I were coming on the show that there's a good friend of mine that's been in your school district for forever, Don Goebel, who does all the media technical stuff. And I just texted him. I said, I'm interviewing Patricia. And he's like, oh, I love Patricia. That's awesome.
Yes. Yeah, we're actually working the same building. So I get to see Don all the time. So yeah.
Don's amazing. He's never been on the podcast. You beat him to the podcast.
Oh, come on, Don. You got to get on the podcast.
Make sure you well, we haven't invited him yet, so you may have to see. Sorry, Don, if you're listening to this, it's not that we don't want you. It's just that we want Patricia first. Oh, no.
There you go.
Not really.
All right.
There's levels to this. There's levels to this.
Levels. Okay.
We are best. And you know what? You mentioned TikTok, and I've heard rumors that TikTok is actually releasing Twitter-like space where you can have text-only posts within TikTok.
Wow. Well, then that's all we need is TikTok. We don't need anything else. Just TikTok.
That's it.
I'm just saying.
That's it.
I'm gonna after the show, I'm gonna find you and follow. Well, you don't post anything though. Yeah, that's right. Never mind.
No, I don't post anything. Yeah, I just watch, just lurk.
Yes. Lurking. Just lurk and share. Because I know, like, if I get one more post from my wife, some videos on TikTok or Reels or something, I know I'm at least 15 videos behind. I can always tell when she doesn't have anything to do.
I get that too. Yeah. I get a bunch of them.
And there's TikToks about people who send TikToks to other people who don't watch the TikTok. So
this is like inception of TikTok. It's so meta. Yes. Wait, meta is something different. Sorry, that's a different social platform.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
All right, Patricia. Let's hop into this real quick. So, we go back like elbows on all this. Our time in education and ed tech. So let me ask you this: now that you have completed your first year as the Director of Technology Services, what is something that you learned this year or this past year that either you wish you knew before going in or that you are going to use going into year 2?
Oh, so much. Let's just start by the fact that my district is going through major renovations and construction. So out of our 8 buildings, 5 of them are under construction. So I walked into the position with a whole new elementary school being built from the ground up. 2 of our elementary schools going under major renovations and additions. Middle school, same thing. And then we got 2 elementary schools now that are getting brand new gyms. So let's start there. I had no background in construction. However, I needed to be able to talk the construction language as I am meeting with the low voltage people, with the networking folks, with all of those and being able to hold people accountable for decisions that I didn't make. And so we're looking at, me coming in and a few other people who were transitions during this like 2-year process. And now we're actually, working with the construction crews, and there's so many different layers to this, so many different languages that I did not understand. I do understand now how money plays a role in the decisions that we make, rather it be from a lens of someone in the business office versus someone from curriculum and instruction versus someone from the technology space. We all have different lenses in what we think and value as what needs to be put into classrooms. So value engineering is a term that I learned during this year. Whereas, okay, you go, yes. So I really understand that, and how, okay, we have this as a plan, but it's not in the drawings. You know why? Because value engineering, they took it out. However, we still need it. So now we need to figure out on the back end how we're going to make this happen. So a lot of that has happened. So that's one layer. The other layer is this whole cybersecurity requirements that are happening. We have a lot of districts in St. Louis that were hit with some unfortunate experiences. And so fingers crossed, I don't have any wood to knock on, but nothing happens in our district. But just looking at some of the new regulations that our insurance company has added that requires us to do things that teachers don't like or staff don't like. Okay, two-factor. Right. Okay, I don't want two-factor. I don't want to have to log into my Google and then look on my phone or an email or, all those things that I'm like, okay, we have to do this. So what I've learned is, of course, those things. And what I've also learned is it's about having a team that you all can work together. There's trust and collaboration. We're speaking from a we voice, not an I voice. So regardless of what decisions were made, when we're in this space, we can talk it out, we can hash it out, we can disagree. But when we go out, we're a united front. It's like mom and dad. Like, we might be in the back, talking about it, but we're like, okay, the technology department, we are saying this, and not just, well, Patricia, the new director, she decided, blah, blah, blah. No, we're doing all this together. So I have a great team. Everybody's on board. So it's been good. The last thing I think I've learned is, well, not the last thing. The last thing I'll share is a lot of times in a technology world, we're very people dependent. And we don't necessarily we have things in our head. Okay, I've always done this. I know how to do this process, blah, blah, blah. But we don't necessarily have it documented. And so if someone were to leave, they leave with all the knowledge, all the historical knowledge, all the information. It's like, okay. So I've been working this year to really work across different departments, create some processes, procedures, all of that. So it is written and documented, so that the next people who come along will have something to go on. So those are just a little few things.
Oh yeah, I'm so glad you mentioned that.
Back to innovation, which is what I really enjoy. Right now, I'm just trying to make sure there's internet working in all the buildings.
Yeah, firewall, internet,
right, all of that.
Devices. Yep.
Yeah, I'm so glad you mentioned that piece about the procedures, because I know that was one thing that I worked on during my time in Newton was. We used a OneNote. I was like, okay, this is our living kind of document. We had tabs for various things because it was like you said, people did things and it was kind of like how we did it, but it wasn't written down anywhere. Like, right. How long do we keep this open? How long do we, before we delete an account? What's the process to do this or that? Like, people did it, but no one knew how it was done. It just got done. Carl just did it and it was taken care of. Yeah. But if Carl got sick or something,
that person leaves and it doesn't get done, you're like, oh, that's right. That person used to do that.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Yep. I know you also you serve on the ISTE board. So just to keep yourself more busy, I guess, because you just have a lot on your plate. And I saw you're an ADE. Are you an Apple Distinguished Educator? What year?
I am 2019.
Oh, see, class of 2013, the best class, but that's okay.
No, the best class ever was 2019.
They always do that. I don't know why they do that in ADE. We always have to say our class is the best. But you serve on the ISTE board, and I know there's a lot of changes going on there with ASCD and all that. What has being a board member on an organization, a global organization like that, what has that brought to your current role? Like, how does that help you in your current? Because that's a lot to give of yourself in a volunteer capacity too. I know you and Adam are both on that. Yeah.
Actually, I really think ISTE really helped me in the position that to even get the position that I have. Being able to have the experience and working with global leaders across, even across the country, across the world, and really seeing the future of technology and education and how it all is going to marry together. One of the things that I thought was super important, from my experience being on the ISTE board and just observing and networking with other districts, is marrying that curriculum and instruction and technology. So right now, our department in our district is housed under curriculum and instruction. So I report to the assistant superintendent of curriculum instruction, and our whole team is under that. So everything, curriculum supports technology, technology supports curriculum. And I learned a lot of that through just how the ISTE space, the ecosystem of the ISTE space, and looking at like the standards and how all that is aligned, and looking at how you select ed tech products, and having some, some procedures and policies, and supporting of the best ed tech tools, and making sure that what you're using is, the bang for your buck, and also, valuable and relevant for your students. So I think now that we're married to ASCD, I think it's going to even be more powerful because, they have a strong sense of that curriculum. They also have a strong sense of working with district leaders, and those are the folks that are making the decisions. So the decision makers in the room. So I think overall, the experience, and I'll just have to say, this past ISTE was amazing. I feel like we're getting back to the normal stuff, but even just elevating and evolving even more. So it's been great for me.
Cool. So Patricia, let me ask you this. You're somewhat of a unicorn in this space, and I say this because when you start looking at the cabinet level director, CTO, in technology, very rarely is it led by a woman, and even rarer a woman of color, in this role. So for the listeners out there who may be aspiring to become in that position, or for a tech leader that's looking to help, hopefully, allow a platform, provide a platform for someone on their team to become elevated at some point in time. What kind of advice can you give someone out there? Because, we see a lot of folks of color, women, they'll get the specialist role, the coach's role, but breaking through that ceiling to that cabinet level is very challenging. We've had this conversation before. So what advice could you give someone who's out there saying, that's where my goal is, I want to get there?
Yeah. That's interesting because if you would have asked me 5-6 years ago, I probably would have told you that I wasn't interested. Like, that wasn't something I wanted to do. And then, as I navigated and I learned more, I experienced more things, even getting on the ISTE board, I was like, I kind of like this leadership thing. Like, I want to be in the space, in the room where we're making decisions, and I have a seat at the table. It definitely comes with its challenges. As I mentioned before, I'm working with construction folks. I'm working with my team, which my team is 90% male. And well, maybe 98% male because it's only two females. And
Wow.
so we definitely have to learn to speak the language. Now, what I do have in my favor is I am mom and chief of 5 boys. And so I live in a house of 6 other males. So I'm kind of used to that, how
You speak
y'all
you
are.
speak our you speak our language. I got
I
you.
can speak the language a bit,
Simple
so it
words.
doesn't
Yeah.
helpful. Right. But I would say, as far as advice, I think you have to be ready. Like, don't get ready, be ready. So for me, the opportunity presented itself, but I have been preparing myself for years for what I wanted to do. So any workshop I could attend, any training I could participate in, even giving myself opportunities to be in front and present and share and do some things within the space. I wanted to perfect my craft as much as I could. So the advice I would give is to make sure that you are ready for whatever is going to come your way, because for me, it was something that was not necessarily that I strive for initially, but I knew that there was some leadership in me. Like my mom always tells me, you got a leader in you. I already knew, like from the day you were born. I'm the oldest of four, so I'm not gonna say I could be bossy. I'm not gonna say that. I'm just gonna say I know a great way to do something, and so I'm gonna share it with everybody.
Having
But
served
no,
with you on the committees, no, I would not describe you as bossy at all, at all, at all. Nope.
okay, good. Okay,
No,
good.
sorry, Bob. I'll sip my
So
tea.
no.
Yeah.
But I would just say, just creating those opportunities for yourself when it comes to just investing in you, like making sure that you're knowledgeable, you understand the whatever field that you're interested in, so that you feel like you have a seat at the table. I will say that whole imposter syndrome can creep
Mhm.
up a lot of times, especially when you're in the tech space. And I've gotten kind of used to being maybe the only woman or the only person of color in the room in a lot of different stages in my life. And so I just try to make sure that I feel comfortable in my own skin and who I am. And, I just come as I am and be who I am. And I think sometimes we try to shrink ourselves.
Right.
And so I would just say, don't shrink. I think a lot of times that is what these roles are all about, just giving yourself that opportunity, and based upon what you bring to the table, which is a different perspective than what the majority of people in this tech field bring. Just walking your confidence and knowing that you have something to bring to the table.
If I can kind of follow up on that, because I know you mentioned the imposter syndrome, and for those of you listeners not aware of it, please look that up and kind of and do your reading on that. I'm sure our good friend Ken Shelton can give you a book on that. Do you? I know at times when I'm in those spaces, and I still struggle with this at times. I feel an additional pressure if I'm the only Black male in the room to quote unquote represent. It's okay when something around DEI comes up or whatever, it's kind of like people look towards me in the rooms like, hey, Adam, Black guy, what do you think?
Yes, please answer. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of like the same thing I felt in elementary school when we started talking about the Civil War and slavery came up. Like, hey, so Adam, like, I don't know,
I'm 8. What do I know about this? Yeah.
The pressure. So, do you ever have those situations where you're in that space and the pressure of speaking out about DEI falls upon your shoulders because it hasn't been, it's an opportunity to talk about it and no one in the room does it? Do you feel that there's an additional pressure upon you to be the advocate or spokesperson about DEI if it's not being on the forefront of individuals' minds around conversations dealing with technology or things of that nature?
Adam, it's actually been the opposite for me. A lot of times those conversations aren't happening at all. And the people in the room don't even have the perspective or the lens or the knowledge. And so for me, I'm the one that's like, hey, we need to talk about this. Have you thought about XYZ, or are we forgetting? Or like, I feel like a lot of times I'm that one that is bringing that perspective that wasn't there, that people aren't even aware of, that, oh yeah, I didn't even think about that. So I don't necessarily look at it as pressure. I think of it more so as kind of like my lane and my responsibility and my perspective to address those things and to bring them up. Because again, I feel like we can have a whole conversation and it's never brought up and it's really directly related to it, but nobody's bringing it up. And I'm just like, well, hey, wait a minute. Let's roll back a little bit. Let's talk about this a little bit more. Have you thought about and so there's been so many different instances where it has been, an all white male conversation or all female conversation. No males are present or no people of color are present. And then I'm in that space where I'm the only one. And I'm just like, okay, we do need another perspective. Now, I don't want to ever be the spokesperson for anybody. I'm a spokesperson for myself, and I advocate for others, and I advocate for our children especially. And so whenever I'm given that opportunity to speak on that, I will, but I'm not going to say I'm the spokesperson for everything because we're not a monolithic group. in any way, shape, or form. And we all have different ideas and visions and thoughts. And so I'll never say I'm speaking for, but I will advocate and I will speak up when I know that there's a conversation that needs to be had.
It's so important that not being a monolithic group. I think that's when you add diverse thought to any type of environment, any type of team, your creativity is also going to increase, because now all of a sudden you have, I never even thought about that perspective. As long as you have an environment and a culture that's willing to actually listen to those things, I think that's so important too. So
that's the key. Yeah.
I'm glad you're at that level, because I wonder what conversations were happening before you got there, right? What were they even considering some of this stuff? Because especially in the tech field, we just kind of just go forward. We don't really think about these things. Oh, there's this new thing coming out. It's AI. What are we going to do? So talking about AI, how are you? What are your thoughts on it as a tech leader? What are you doing? What's Ladou's take on it? What is it blocking? Is it and kind of just give us your thoughts on it overall and going forward.
Yeah, I'm super excited about it. I know Adam and I have had conversations, and it's a hot topic. As far as what we're doing as a district is we put together a task force, and we want to really dive deep into what is AI, how it will benefit, how it will support our students, our teachers. We brought together a team of teachers, some district leaders, myself, of course, to kind of talk about it, because it's like the elephant in the room. Like, we know ChatGPT is here. We know all these other tools are there, but y'all going to act like it don't exist and we're just going to block it. And no, we have to talk about it. And what I am really passionate about is not limiting the conversation to ChatGPT and specific tools, but bringing it up to a higher level, big picture. And what is AI in general? How is that going to affect the future of education? I know that the U.S. Department of Education has done a lot of research and have created some really great guides and how it supports. But if we get super focused on, well, kids are going to cheat. Well, if they can Google your answer to your assignment anyway, they're already cheating. They're already doing
20
these
years,
things. Yeah, they've been doing that. When Google says Google it, that's the same thing.
Yeah.
But thinking out for me, what I get super excited about is some tools like Teach FX. I don't know if you've heard of that. And what that is, an AI tool that basically teachers can use to help them in reflecting on their practice. So it basically uses the AI technology to listen in on a conversation or a class lesson. And it can basically pull out data to say, how much is the teacher talking? How much are the students talking?
Ooh.
What kind of questions are being asked? What kind of ideas can you capture from the conversations that's happening in the room? I was like, that is super powerful. As a instructional coach, as a teacher, you can start those coaching conversations. Hey, and on an average of 50-minute class period, you were talking for 40 minutes and you only gave your kids 10 minutes to really have conversations. Okay, now let's drill down on what was those conversations happening in those 10 minutes. So those are really cool things. And then just looking at data overall, like, it takes such a long time to go through a process of, identifying a student that has an area of focus that they need for instruction. Okay. And then drilling down on exactly what they need and creating learning targets and all that. I really see AI helping us really taking data, doing whatever it does in that virtual IT space with AI, and developing some really great strategies and tools and resources that kids can use. I found one that was super cool for me. I can't even remember the name of it right now, but basically I can, from a text perspective, when I'm wanting to be able to share a process or a procedure or information on how to do something within a specific app, there's a tool that I can go in, I go to the website, I'll do all the different things that I'm doing, going through the steps, and it's recording my steps.
Yeah.
It's writing out the directions for it, and then it'll send a link to whoever needs it. Like, life-changing. Like, I wish I had that 10 years ago when I was typing out PDFs on, directions and doing screenshots and, all those things, So I think the future of AI is incredible. To your point earlier, Carl, the bias that comes a part of it, like, there's also some dangers and some things that we need to be aware of and understand, especially if we're going to release this tool to students. But I think overall, there's so many great, I think we're seeing just a little bit of the future of what it's actually going to be and benefit for our students.
Yeah, that's right.
Definitely. I mean, I just think about the whole component where you're talking about taking data, because we kind of want teachers to be all things to all people, especially data analysts, and they're not.
No time for it.
Yeah, even in assessment generation, we all took a course maybe in college on that, but realistically, how well can we do that without having our own personal bias in there? So using the AI to help generate questions based on the data where the deficiencies are in our students, and to be able to kind of elevate that as it goes through that learning process, I think can really elevate and do that whole thing that we talk about, which is differentiate instruction and learning for our students. It gives the foundation to do a lot of that stuff, and hopefully take some stress off of teachers, assessment coordinators, tech directors, and everybody. So, Patricia, we always like to ask our guests going into the school year and everything that's going on. And you kind of said some of this stuff earlier, but what are some things that you do to keep yourself undisrupted?
Yes, I'm still struggling with that. I always talk about work-life balance and it being just a difficult thing, especially when you're new to a role. So finishing out my first year, I have learned that I have to create a balance. Even though I want to jump on my laptop after I left work, get home, get settled, then jump back on my laptop and work for another 2 hours. I can't do that. So self-care has been super important for me this year. And just moving forward, making sure that I'm taking care of me, and also looking at what I value and what I want most in my life. And that is happiness. That is to be able to spend time with my family. I want to relax. So the relaxing to me means I'm going to do some, me time where I'm going to get my hair done or nails done or getting a massage or whatever, or also getting my hands done, or also just doing mindless things like just scrolling through TikTok, just watching and laughing and enjoying the humor that is out there in the world. So I think just for me, you have to put yourself first, because if, like they say on an airplane, if you don't put your mask on first and take care of you, you can't take care of everybody else. And I take care of a lot of folks. I'm a mom of a lot and a loving husband who takes care of me as well, but we have to take care of each other. So it's just important that I take some time for me.
She's Patricia Brown, everybody. You can follow her at TikTok at no, I don't have your TikTok handle. Where can people find out more about you and your great work? Where do you post?
Yeah.
Where are you posting on?
Of course, you can come visit me in my district, in Ladue School District in St. Louis. Pop in anytime. Well, not pop in anytime, but let me know you want to come and see the work that we're doing. But I'm Miss Ed Techie.
What, little district outside of St. Louis?
Yeah, we're a little small district in the Ladue area. But you can find me on social media at Miss Ed Techie. So that's MS Ed TECIE, Miss Ed Techie, and we can connect.
Well, thank you so much for joining us and being a part of the podcast. And for our listeners out there, be sure to subscribe and like and follow and all that other fun stuff. And of course, I always try to encourage people to check out the YouTube stream of this as well, because then you get to see Adam's amazing knuckles that he likes to share with our guests at all times. There they are again, everybody. Okay, now put them away. Yes. This has been the Undisrupted podcast, brought to you by All for Ed. He's Adam, and you can follow him at AskAdam3.
And he's Carl, and you can follow him at Mr. Hooker. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, we are better together.
And we are better undisrupted.